The Atlantic gave Kash Patel just 2 hours to respond to all of their accusations of excessive drinking against him. And because of that obviously malicious timing, they are now facing a $250 million defamation lawsuit from none other than Kash Patel himself. So the author of this hit piece went on Jen Psaki's show, and in my estimation, she actually made matters worse for herself. Take a look at this.
The FBI responded to The Atlantic with a graceful and eloquent statement attributed to Patel, and here's what he said. Print it, all false. I'll see you in court. Bring your checkbook. Graceful, eloquent. Okay. Joining me now is the reporter who broke that story, staff writer for The Atlantic, Sarah Fitzpatrick. First of all, Sarah, I'm so grateful you could be here because we saw this story and we reached out and we were like, can you come talk to us about it? And here you are. I want to talk to you about all the details of this bombshell report. I just skimmed the story, the service there, I should say. But first, I just want to give you an opportunity to respond to this reaction to your piece, because Patel's advisor, Erica Knight, called your piece fabricated stories. She said that every serious D.C. reporter passed on. Sarah Fitzpatrick and Jeffrey Goldberg printed it anyway. Lawsuit is being filed. What do you say to that?
I say that I am a very careful, very diligent, award-winning investigative reporter with a history of award-winning work across multiple organizations. You and I, in fact, have worked together previously. I stand by every word of this reporting. We have excellent attorneys, and it is a surprising statement, but a very telling statement, I believe. And I would also note, we reached out for comment to the White House and to the Justice Department, neither of which disputed anything. We gave multiple opportunities, including 19 detailed questions. So we stand by every word.
So right there, she says the White House. She says Kash Patel's FBI team, none of them disputed these allegations. There is just one problem with that. Again, they only gave them 2 hours to respond. In fact, Kash Patel's team published one of the emails online. Sarah, from top to bottom, this is one of the most absurd things I've ever read, completely false at nearly 100% clip, and with a 2-hour deadline. This is a 2-hour deadline to respond to these allegations. Copying my colleague Erica will get you some more thorough responses. So even before that article was published, they had this email exchange. It is all in writing. So Kash Patel's team, the FBI, they have proof that they were already upset about just this 2-hour deadline. Now, we all know how politics works. Everything gets reviewed by legal teams, reviewed by multiple people. They can't just issue a response. This usually goes through multiple layers. So that 2-hour deadline is not only unrealistic, but let's get real here. We all know that this sort of hit piece takes weeks to put together. According to the piece itself, they interviewed several dozen people familiar with the matter. I mean, there's no one even on the record substantiating any of the claims in this piece. As always, it's anonymous sources, and it's actually worse than anonymous sources. We'll get to that later in the video. But again, she interviews several dozen people here. Do you think she was able to interview all those people in 2 hours? No, this took several days, again, if not several weeks. And then once this hit piece is put together, we're going to ask the White House, we're going to ask the FBI for comment. But instead of giving them the same time span, instead of giving them several days or weeks to respond, we're going to say, you need to respond in 2 hours, and then we're publishing this thing. And because of that 2-hour deadline, she's then able to go on the record and say, well, we asked them for comment, but they didn't respond. See, this is all strategic. This is all intentional to make Trump, to make Kash Patel, to make the entire administration look bad. What's really ironic, though, is immediately after this piece was published, The Atlantic published this about Nazi-occupied France. And take a look at the byline here. The Sorrow and the Pity has lessons for how authoritarianism takes root and how to fight against it. The film that explains contemporary America. So they're obviously comparing America under President Trump to Nazi-occupied France. Well, guess what? You still have freedom of speech. You still have freedom of the press. This is not anything that's comparable, but they can't help themselves. They will take every opportunity possible to bash this administration. Well, let's actually take a closer look at this article here. Her sources for this hit piece include, quote, 6 current and former officials and others familiar with Patel's schedule told me. What is really indicative there are former officials. It's no secret why someone who is currently working in the FBI would want to stay off the record, right? They would probably want to stay anonymous because they would be afraid of losing their job, or maybe afraid of retribution. But it doesn't make sense if you no longer work for the FBI. If you are a former official, you have nothing to lose. And in fact, there are actually on the law books, whistleblower protection. So why would they all stay anonymous? Isn't that really telling? Most of the time, if it's a former official, they will go on the record because, again, it's not as if they can lose their job. It's not as if they're putting anything professionally at risk here. But on top of that, if we take a closer look at how she actually phrases, how she cites these sources, it gets worse than anonymous sources because she uses the phrase, quote, people familiar with the matter, or quote, or some have characterized. So it's not even firsthand people who have worked with Kash Patel. She's not saying an anonymous source who worked with Kash Patel said. No, it's someone who is familiar with the matter. Oh, you mean someone who heard a rumor through the grapevine? That familiar with the matter? What does that mean? That is so broad, that is so vague, that she can cover her tail, she can cover her behind however she wants to. What's really telling here, on top of all of that, is that Dan Bongino, who again is an actual former administration official, has gone on the record with his name. BS, absolute BS. This is someone who has nothing to lose. He could turn against the administration. We're seeing that with so many MAGA influencers, whether it's Candace Owens, Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, they're all sticking the knives in the administration right now. Dan Bongino, he could easily do this, but instead, he's standing up for Kash Patel. This is someone who directly worked with Kash Patel, and he's saying this is all false. None of it is true. And again, he left the administration early. It's not as if he served all 4 years in the administration. He left early, and some theorized maybe he was pushed out, maybe he had some axe to grind, but no, he is standing up for Kash Patel. To me, that says a lot more than an anonymous source or someone who was just familiar with the matter. Well, Kash Patel went on Fox News's Maria Bartiromo, and he made some really good points. And again, I think this actually is going to put The Atlantic, this is going to put this author in a much worse position than they are now.
Magazine, the Atlantic magazine director is alleging that you have a drinking problem, that it is getting in the way of your work running the FBI. What is your response this morning to this article?
Look, Maria, you and I have been at this together for a long time, whether I was leading the investigation on Russiagate back in the House or my time in the Trump admin 1 and now. And the results, I say, speak for themselves. If the fake news mafia isn't hitting you personally with baseless information in Washington, D.C., then you're not doing your job. And it's louder than ever because this FBI, under President Trump's brilliant leadership and backing the blue and backing law enforcement, this FBI has the most prolific year in crime reduction in the United States history. A 20% reduction in the homicide rate, a 20-point drop in opiate overdose deaths. We have found and identified 6,300 child victims. 6,300 kids get to go home to their kids. That's a 30% increase. Seizing enough fentanyl to kill 180 million Americans. That's a 31% increase. Our deal with China, where we stopped the flow of fentanyl precursors, a historic engagement thanks to President Trump in Busan. And our work continues. We've captured 8 of the top 10 most wanted fugitives in the world, to include rapists, murderers, terrorists, and narco traffickers. That's twice as many as Joe Biden did in 4 years. President Trump and this FBI got done in 14 months.
Now that is really interesting because we have a tale of two interviews. We have a tale of the interview of the author of the hit piece with Psaki, and then we have the interview of Kash Patel with Maria Bartiromo. And what they said, or what they didn't say, really exposes who is telling the truth here. Because notice, when the author of this hit piece sat down with Jen Psaki and she asked her about these claims, the author, she didn't say, well, I trust my sources, or, oh, these are reliable sources. These are trustworthy people who've worked with the administration. Instead, her response, her defense was, we have good lawyers. I mean, if you're defending yourself against a defamation claim, first of all, an easy way to prove that claim false is what you're reporting is true and that you're not doing it with actual malice. But instead, she doesn't argue against that. She says, we have good lawyers. That's really interesting. So that's a tale of one interview. Kash Patel's interview with Maria Bartiromo, on the other hand, he starts talking about his record. He starts talking about what the FBI has accomplished. Now, a lot of people may say, Daniel, what does that have to do with anything? Daniel, he's just trying to distract from these allegations, but he's actually getting to the core of the issue. The reason that these excessive drinking allegations are such a big deal is because the underpinning argument is that he's not doing his job well. The underpinning argument is that he's somehow jeopardizing the mission of the FBI, the work that the FBI is doing. And so what he's saying here is, hey, take a look at everything we've done. Take a look at the results. They speak for themselves. And hey, because I'm suing the Atlantic, we're going to head to discovery. If these claims against me, Kash Patel, are true, well, wouldn't this be discoverable during discovery? I mean, let's get this straight. Let's just take a look at some of these specific claims that The Atlantic has made here. So they claimed, claim number 5, that Kash Patel was drunk to the point of apparent intoxication, and they actually cite the location, the Poodle Room in Las Vegas, as well as who else was present, witnesses. If that actually happened, don't you think this would be on the record? Don't you think this would be documented somewhere? Claim number 7, that Kash Patel was so intoxicated that he had difficulty being woken up and that people had to wake him up and bring him to meetings. There are other claims that he broke equipment, breached equipment, that he missed meetings, that Secret Service had to carry him, prop him around. I mean, if those accusations are true, this would be documented somewhere. I mean, there is a paper trail for everything in Washington, D.C. So for Kash Patel to even launch this lawsuit in the first place, which again will lead to discovery, if he has something to hide, why would he even do this to himself? To me, this suggests that he knows he has nothing to hide, and he's putting The Atlantic on the defense here. Now, all of this leaves the question, why would The Atlantic even run this hit piece in the first place? We all know that the media, the Democrats, they're going to do whatever they can to tarnish the administration, but why this specific claim? Why this specific person in the Trump administration? Well, top Democrat strategists and commentators were actually talking about the Atlantic hit piece, and they accidentally revealed what could be the motivation behind all of this. But before we get to that, I would like to acknowledge the members of today's Governor's Club. They are Jeremy 2001 Happy ×3, RL 1401, Bob, thank you so much. That was very gracious and generous of you. Lisa, Anthony Loki, Jenny Rankin, Brittany, Cindy Nelson, and Dennis Nevin. These are people who give tips and super thanks to the channel. I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad that you enjoy. Well, they were talking about this hit piece, and these Democrat strategists, commentators, and MS Now host, they were really celebrating that Kash Patel was being thrown under the bus, but they accidentally revealed why this is such a big deal to them in the first place. They revealed that they're trying to get Kash Patel kicked out of the administration. Take a look.
We know from past interviews that he's given that his father was an alcoholic, and he had a big problem with that. Trump does not. He says he does not drink. I have no reason to believe that he's lying about that. So he does not have a tolerance for people who cannot control their alcohol. And this is why I think this may be the biggest thin ice issue that Kash has been dealing with since he came into the FBI.
Look, there has been turnover now at the Trump White House, at the administration. During Trump 1.0, the turnover was crazy, right? But in Trump 2.0, the ship held really steady during his first year. But just in the last few months, whether it's Kristi Noem or Pam Bondi, there's been a lot of turnover. And so the Democrats, clearly, they smell blood in the water, and they want to get their next victim. It's clear that the next victim on their hit list is Kash Patel. And they just revealed here, oh, President Trump, he has a history with alcoholism in the family. They cited his father, and so they're trying to drive a wedge between them. So if they're making these accusations against Kash Patel, it's only a matter of time before they come against someone like Pete Hegseth, and we already know the Democrats are doing whatever they can in regards to all of that. One more point I would like to make before we close out this video is, let's not forget what the Democrats have been claiming the last few months. They claim that Iran is a disaster. They claim that President Trump has made the situation worse in the Middle East. They claim that President Trump is ruining the economy. They claim that President Trump is a racist. They claim that so many illegal things happened in Minneapolis, yada, yada, yada. Now, why do I bring all of that up? If any of those things were true, don't you think The Atlantic, don't you think any of these serious journalistic enterprises would be spending their time investigating those news stories? Don't you think they would be putting more resources into trying to expose how terribly the Iran war is going? Wouldn't they run more pieces on the economy? Instead, they are spending their time, they are spending their finite, limited resources on this piece against Kash Patel's supposed uncontrolled drinking. Seriously, if you really thought President Trump was running the country into the ground, is that really the story that you would focus on? Is that where you would spend? If you were an editor of a magazine, is that where you would send your resources, your journalists, your money to cover? To me, it makes no sense. The fact that the Democrats, the media, are focused on this story tells me that they know that they don't have any leads. They don't have any traction anywhere else. As always, though, all of this is just my analysis and commentary. That's what's happening in the world of politics from my point of view, and I would love to hear from you. So what do you think is going to happen with this lawsuit? Do you think it's actually going to go to trial? Do you think the Atlantic's going to settle? What are your predictions? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you again for everyone who has reached out since the last video. I know it's been a while, and I know not everyone watches every video, so in case you missed the last video, just a quick update. I am good. I'm sorry I haven't uploaded in a while. Long story short, I knew I was going to take a break for Easter, but that unexpectedly turned into a much longer break, and some exciting news, I ended up buying my first house. So in 6 short weeks, we will be moving. For the next few weeks, it'll look like nothing's changing, but those last 2 to 3 weeks is when the move is really going to jump into high gear. So for those of you who have reached out and have been wondering, I'm very gracious and thankful for you for checking in. I really appreciate it, and it does mean a lot for those of you who took the time out of your busy day, out of your lives, to reach out. If you haven't already, please be sure to leave me a thumbs up. I know it's a simple thing to ask for, but it really does help me reach more viewers like you in the algorithm. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.